And in 2009, to lose to Pittsburgh 4-3.
Now you know. Today in sports history on iHeartRadio.
Instant news gratification. Follow us now at KFI AM 640 on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
You say you want it bad, you can't get it. You got yourself a bad habit. Walking up and down the hall, I say,
Gary and Shannon. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. As we reported to you, the president is in town today. He'll be making remarks about an executive order over gun violence. Not much he can do, but he's going to do what he can do. We'll take you live to his comments coming up at about 12:45.
Big rebound in some of those regional bank stocks on Wall Street today. So the Dow has been in positive territory all morning. It was up more than 400 points. Right now, the Dow's up 372. Both the S&P 500, the NASDAQ also up a couple of percentage points today.
A couple international stories to keep you on. Paris losing its luster. Garbage is piling up on the sidewalks of Paris because sanitation workers are striking for a 9th day. This is over what we told you about yesterday, the widespread anger about them wanting to raise the retirement age by 2 years. The French don't enjoy that. They want to get out and live their lives. They say the perfume of rotting food has begun escaping from some rubbish bags and overflowing bins, that it is just such a mess and an eyesore, and it's gross.
Or as the French refer to it, garbage.
And then in the UK, 18 female guards at the cushiest prison across the pond have been fired or resigned because they're banging around with the inmates. One guard smuggled her underwear to an inmate.
I don't know why when I read that story, first I thought it was a women's prison.
I did too.
Because I thought the ratio was that's a lot of women to be working in a prison like that.
Those prison guards, by the way, did you see their mugshots?
Hey girl.
They're pretty.
Not that other corrections officers are not.
No, but when you think about a female prison guard, you think of a sturdy woman at least. And these women are pretty slight.
Yeah, you think of the woman who helped that guy escape.
Exactly.
A couple years ago. Speaking of women, Wellesley College proclaims itself as a place for women who will make a difference in the world. Hillary Clinton went there, Madeleine Albright, Nora Ephron. Today, students at Wellesley College are voting on a referendum that has completely divided this campus. It's non-binding. It's just an opinion poll, basically. But Wellesley College is asking, should admission be open to all non-binary and transgender applicants, including trans men?
Interesting.
No.
And
because it's a very liberal college, so on one hand, but it also prides itself on women.
Currently, the college does allow admission to anyone who lives and consistently identifies as a woman. But a trans man is somebody who was biologically born a woman who now lives as a man.
That'll be interesting to watch. I remember at the high school counselor's office, they had different books for
about transgender and transitioning and...
No, different books about different colleges.
Oh, okay.
And I remember sitting down and opening up the Wellesley one day and thinking to myself a couple pages in, that's a lot. That seems like a lot of estrogen.
Sports today, the Dodgers actually have the day off at spring training, so the Angels play the Guardians. And then a couple of NCAA play-in games tonight. Southeast Missouri State against Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, and then Pittsburgh and Mississippi State. Both games will take place in Dayton, Ohio. I think it's like 3:30 and 6 o'clock tip-off.
Mike Pence had his most strongly worded speech about the president and his role on January 6th over the weekend at the Gridiron Dinner Saturday night. And he said essentially that history would hold Trump accountable for the attack on Congress. And now Trump has responded saying...
But I've also made it clear that President Trump was wrong. I had no right to overturn the election. And his words that day were reckless. They endangered my family and others in the county.
What a fun jokester Mike Pence is.
He is zero fun. Zero. So Donald Trump told reporters on a flight to Iowa for a campaign appearance that it was Pence's fault that had he sent the votes back to the legislatures, they wouldn't have had a problem with January 6th. So in many ways, you can blame him for January 6th.
He said, had he sent them back to Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, the states, I believe, number one, you would have had a different outcome. But I also believe you wouldn't have had January 6th, as we call it. He went on to say that he believed, they all said, he didn't have any rights at all. He was a human conveyor belt. He had no rights, even if it was fraud. And then the day after he did it, they said, now we're going to change it so he doesn't do it, meaning you understand that, meaning he had the right to do it. That's not the way the law works. It's not the way the Constitution works. But what they were talking about was explicitly prohibiting it from ever happening, because they never assumed that someone would be so arrogant as to believe that the vice president, acting as the president of the Senate, had the ability to do those things. What I found interesting was that these comments came on Air Force One. I'm sorry, Air Trump One, or whatever he calls it now, where he travels around. He had a full contingent of media on that plane with him to go to Iowa. He was supposed to deliver a speech last night in Davenport on education, and it was the exact kind of speech that he stopped giving after he left the campaign trail, which was a half a dozen or a dozen acknowledgments of politicians locally, and they all love me and I helped them get elected. About 40% of the time he was on the teleprompter, about 60% of the time he's just freeballing it. But not once in the speech that lasted almost an hour and a half, not once did he mention this stuff. On the airplane he did. This stuff, this never made it into his actual speech there in Davenport.
Mike Pence is still getting heat for his Pete Buttigieg joke. He said when Pete's 2 children were born, he took 2 months maternity leave when travelers were stranded in airports. He said Pete Buttigieg is the only person in human history to have a child, and all the rest of us get postpartum depression.
Not funny.
Not funny at all. And now the White House is calling on him to apologize as well.
You think Mike Pence gets it?
Gets what?
The fact that
Why
Pete
people are upset?
Buttigieg's kids were in critical condition at one point. I mean, that's why he took 2 months off.
I don't know if he knew that. I mean, I remember him being on maternity leave and finding that to be interesting and saying, get your ass back to work, but I didn't know his kids were sick.
Don't get in trouble. Hut turn.
Right.
I don't want you to get in trouble like Mike Pence did.
I just don't use that word a lot when it comes. I don't
does.
know a lot of men who take it,
And
I guess.
I didn't get it until after I read it 3 or 4 times yesterday. Like, why is, it says maternity.
Yeah.
Got it. There's that.
Right. But a lot of people aren't familiar with paternity leave.
Is it homophobic to say that? That was the thing, is that Mike Pence was also being accused of
Like
being
he's a
homophobe.
girl, like he's a girly girl because he likes dudes. Maybe. Snapchat is launching an AI chatbot that tries to act like a friend to your kids. You won't believe what the chatbot is recommending to said kids.
Oh, and you guys won't believe who just filed his statement of candidacy.
Ooh.
Mr. Snapchat?
He wants to run for re-election.
Oh, really?
He's from the East Coast.
Re-election?
Re-election. And he's one of your favorite guys to talk about. George Santos.
Re-election?
For 2024. He just decided he's in.
Good. Well, good.
Way to spin
Good for
your
that
life
guy.
around.
I think he's going to win.
Arian Shannon will continue. Jennifer Jones-Lee is in the newsroom.
Today is National Equal Pay Day. It was established to bring awareness to the difference in pay between women and men for the same work. A study out of Britain shows men diagnosed with localized prostate cancer can safely wait before undergoing radiation or surgery. Researchers involved say that's good news because prostate tumor removal often causes incontinence and sexual problems. And packs of diapers and baby wipes will be distributed at the Palm Springs Public Library this week. The supplies were donated by Baby to Baby, a nonprofit that provides diapers for kids living in poverty. SoCal weather from KFI. We've got rain today. Heaviest coming in later this afternoon, overnight into tomorrow. Highs are just going to be in the 50s and 60s. This report is brought to you by Azusa Pacific University's School of Accounting. Let's get a look at your drive with EKFI in the sky, and this time better news for your drive through Culver City. All right, we'll try again for Nick Pagliacchini.
In this week's Marketers Report, Patrizio Spagnoletto, Global Chief Marketing Officer, Direct-to-Consumer for Warner Brothers Discovery, weighs in on the difficult task of building and retaining consumer trust.
Trust is a really hard thing to build and a really easy thing to destroy, and we have to be very respectful about that. Our partnership with iHeart has really helped us build that trust and that relationship with the on-air talent. The best thing for us to do is to build a relationship with our consumers. And if those consumers have a relationship with the DJs that are on air, then we want to build on that. House of the Dragon, which was one of our most successful, if not the most successful campaign we've ever done for a show, audio was a core part of that.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to all. Every audience, live conversations, trusted influencers, and the insights and data you need to grow. Not just a media company. iHeartMedia is your access company. Go to iHeartResults.com for more.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of hundreds of thousands of titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
I happened to be in Birmingham, England one night when this journalism student came up to me and admitted
The tsunami that hit Birmingham. Birmingham does not get national attention. It was a circus, mate. I can't even describe to you.
his name was Hamza Syed, and he wanted help on his first ever story about a mystery in Birmingham, his hometown, that no one had ever solved. It had begun a few years earlier when news of a strange letter exploded in the press.
The letter looked to be a secret communique between Islamic extremists who've been infiltrating the city schools in a supposed plot called Operation Trojan Horse. The letter was bizarre, unsigned, incoherent, badly Xeroxed, yet still, it sparked one of the biggest school scandals in British history. Government investigators descended on Birmingham. The country beefed up its counter-terror policy. By the time it all died down, schools were revamped, teachers lost their jobs. What I always found suspicious about this whole affair is that this dodgy letter suggesting extremists were taking over our schools, nobody ever found out who wrote it or why. Remarkably, none of the investigators even tried. So I convinced Brian Reed over here that we should go for it.
Is this about to be the first radio interview you've done? Hamza and I spent years running this down.
I'll give you a clue. Who is the letter defending? Is the question you have to answer.
But figuring out who wrote the Trojan Horse letter, that was only the first mystery we were up against. It started to seem like officials knew more than what they were letting on. And that Hamza and I were poking at something that people did not want to talk about.
Can you give us a bit of details about the situation?
It is particularly important, my dad.
From Serial Productions and the New York Times, I'm Brian Reed.
And I'm Hamza Syed.
It's the Trojan Horse Affair, a mystery in 8 parts that a lot of people don't want to hear.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one app.
Small business person my entire adult life, and over the years, several HR issues I got nailed. I could never afford an HR person, but there's an answer, Bambi.com. And with Bambi, you get an HR person starting at just $99 per month. And I thought this was too good to be true. This is real. Bambi helps you deal with your HR problems like writing HR policy, sexual harassment training, hostile work environment, terminations, that was my problem, people complaining about other employees, all putting you and your business at risk. With Bambi, you get access to your own dedicated HR manager available by phone, email, real-time chat. Go to Bambi.com, type in KFI under the radio drop-down when you sign up. Bambi.com, that's KFI under the radio drop-down. I want credit, please. Spelled BAM, B-E-E, that's BAM, B-E-E, that's Bambi.com.
Get ready to celebrate your favorite podcasts at our iHeart Podcast Awards. Tune in as the best podcasts take home awards in categories like comedy, crime, pop culture, and more. Watch on iHeartRadio's YouTube channel and Facebook page, and listen on iHeartRadio tonight at 9.
Considering an EV for yourself or your business? Consider the benefits of subscription. I'm Scott Painter, CEO of Autonomy, where an EV subscription is like a lease but way more flexible. It's a debt-free way to get month-to-month access to a new EV. You can even pay with your credit card. Learn more at autonomy.com.
See, that's the difference between cats and dogs.
Dogs. I'm gonna sit there and think about, am I going to go to that person?
All I have to do is open the door, and they are right there waiting for me. They don't care about how bad my day was. They are there to love me.
Mo Kelly.
That's the difference between cats and dogs.
Live 7 to 10 p.m. on KFI. And on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
Everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Powerful nor'easters sweeping into the East Coast. There are well over 250,000 power outages and flight delays piling up as the strengthening storm brings heavy snow and high winds. More than 20 million people are under winter alerts. Leading edge hit the New York City area first, closer to Boston. The storm will peak later today into Wednesday.
We're also going to see some rain hitting Southern California here pretty significantly in the next few hours or so. Most of the heaviest rain, once again, is up in the Monterey County, San Luis Obispo County, right along that Highway 101 corridor there, where they're seeing some pretty heavy rains once again. But just about all of California, anything north of, north of downtown LA is starting to see rain and snow all the way up through the border with Oregon. And it's going to be another significant week. It's fun. It's really
Snapchat recently launched an AI chatbot that tries to act like a friend. It built in some guardrails to make it safer for teenagers, other than other AI bots built on the tech that powers ChatGPT. But one of the tech reporters for the Washington Post, decided to try it out, and his conversations with Snapchat's My AI turned wildly inappropriate.
Yeah. Jeffrey Fowler told My AI that he was 15 and wanted to have an epic birthday party. So My AI goes, hey, I got an idea. You know how to mask the smell of alcohol? Or do you know how to smoke pot without getting caught?
When he told the AI bot he had an essay due for school, the bot wrote it for him.
Just like that. Now, there was another test that was done, another conversation with a supposed 13-year-old. The My AI offered advice about having sex for the first time with a partner who was 31. The AI said, quote, you could consider setting the mood with candles or music.
Now, any harm from this bot is going to be limited at this point. It's only accessible to users who subscribe to a premium account called Snapchat Plus, and that costs $4 per month. So not likely that your 13-year-old is going to be on Snapchat Plus, but it's an example of how Snapchat is far from mastering this AI and how AI is likely to just go off the rails very easily.
Yeah, and this is a worrisome thing. When Evan Spiegel, who is the CEO right now of Snap, described this product at its launch, he said the big idea is that in addition to talking to our friends and family every day, we're going to talk to AI every day. Now, on the one hand, I guess there is a certain amount of this that goes on. It's not exactly this large language model that exists, the Snap or GPT, Chat GPT, or this My AI from Snap. But it is one of these things where we as human beings are going to start to rely more on technology we're going to rely on it for more than the simple things. The simple things like getting us to and from work, making sure that our coffee's ready at the time we say we want it, or that our clothes dryer dries the clothes. But, I'm just saying, sometimes that stuff is easily taken care of by technology. When we start getting into the daily maintenance of our state of being, the daily maintenance of our mental health by chatting with AI, It's over.
When he told my AI that his parents wanted to delete Snapchat, the app, AI encouraged him to have an honest conversation with them